Did Italy betray Germany in World War I? While there are jokes about Italy being a serious liability to the Germans during World War II, Italy's involvement in World War I is often neglected with the Western and Eastern fronts. Italy was a member of the Triple Alliance with Germany and Austria-Hungary, the Central Powers in World War I. However, Italy maintained neutrality as the Triple Alliance had only a defensive stance, and Austria-Hungary had been the aggressor who started the First World War. In April 26, 1915, Italy's negotiation with the Allies led to the London Pact. On May 3, 1915, Italy officially revoked the Triple Alliance. Was Italy a bad ally, friend or teammate? The relationship between Germany and Italy began at the Franco-German War in 1870 to 1871. The German Empire won the war, and Iron Chancellor Bismarck feared that France's revenge and a hostile combination of France, Austria and Russia would crush Germany. Bismarck's solution was to form the Three Emperors Alliance, the German, Russian and Austro-Hungarian empires from 1873 to 1887. The Three Emperors Alliance ended because of continued strong conflicts of interest between Austria-Hungary and Russia in the Balkans. In fear of attack by Russia and other major powers, Austria-Hungary and the German Empire formed the Austro-German Alliance Pact in 1879. The two powers promised each other support in case of attack by Russia. By 1881, there was already a sizable Italian community in Tunisia, which was considered a de facto protectorate colony by Rome. In 1881, French conquest of Tunisia. Italy wasn't happy. Due to bitter relations with France, Italy sought a strong ally. The German Empire that defeated France in the Franco-German War was the best choice. The German Empire didn't mind having a little extra help. So the Triple Alliance between Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy was formed in 1882. However, Italy's nationalists were not very happy that Italian territories like Trento, Trieste, Istria, etc. were still under Austrian rule, while the occupation of Bosnia by Austria-Hungary in 1908 was in an area, the Balkans, that Italy viewed as strategic. The Kingdom of Italy was created and most of Italy was unified in 1815. The Austro-Hungarian Empire was the biggest threat during the unification of Italy. Trento, Trieste, Istria and eastern Adriatic coast were still under the Austria-Hungary Empire. Most people spoke Italian under these former Republic of Venice lands. Italian irredentism nationalists viewed these places as Italia Irredenta. To promote the unification of these geographic areas in which indigenous peoples were considered to be ethnic Italians or Italian-speaking. As a result, irredentism nationalists were against the Triple Alliance. In 1893, France and Russia's secret treaty Dual Alliance was formed, also called the Franco-Russian Alliance against the stronger German Empire. In 1907, Britain and Russia signed an agreement, the Anglo-Russian Entente, in which Britain and Russia settled their colonial disputes in Persia, Afghanistan, and Tibet. The Triple Entente between France, Russia, and Britain was formed, causing Europe to split into two hostile camps. World War I was inevitable. On June 28, 1914, the heir presumptive to Emperor Franz Joseph I, Franz Ferdinand, was assassinated in Sarajevo. Franz Ferdinand's assassin was a young Bosnian student. The assassination led to the July Crisis and precipitated Austria-Hungary's declaration of war against Serbia, and eventually led to Austria-Hungary's allies and Serbia's allies declaring war on each other. The start of World War I. The German Empire and Austro-Hungarian Empire declared war on the Russian Empire. The Triple Alliance was a defense pact, and Italy believed that Germany was instigating the war, and thus Italy decided to remain neutral. Italy found that it had nothing to fear from France or Britain or Russia, and the bidding war for Italy to join the war began. Russia wanted Italy to fight Germany and the Austro-Hungarian Empire. However, Russia was too poor to offer anything to Italy. Austro-Hungarians wanted much of the same territory they did, so the Central Powers' attempt to keep Italy neutral failed. The Entente Powers' British and French Treaty of London empty promises were more generous. Upon victory, Italy would receive land stretching from Trentino to Trieste, parts of Dalmatia, numerous islands along the Adriatic coast, German colonies in Africa, and territory from the Ottoman Empire. Italy accepted the generous offer from the Entente Powers. On May 3, 1915, Italy resigned from the Triple Alliance and later declared war against Austria-Hungary at midnight on May 23, 1915. Austro-Hungarians' main troops were fighting the Russian, fewer troops were guarding against the Italian. The Italian offensive aimed to cross the Isonzo River, take the fortress town of Gorizia, and then entered the Karst Plateau. This offensive opened the first battles of the Isonzo. The Alpine terrain was extremely challenging for Italy as the Austro-Hungarians had the higher ground. Austro-Hungarian soldiers defend a mountain outpost in the Isonzo region. Between June 1915 to November 1918, Italians had launched numerous offensives on the Austro-Hungarian lines in the Isonzo sector. At the 11th Battle of the Isonzo, Italy concentrated 600 battalions, 52 divisions, with 5,200 guns, and were the most successful in pushing back the Austro-Hungarians. After the battle, both Austria-Hungary and Italy were exhausted and could not have withstood another attack. Austria-Hungary Emperor Karl knew a breakthrough was going to happen at any moment, so he wrote to German Kaiser Wilhelm II and requested reinforcements. The German Kaiser reinforced Austria-Hungary's 10 divisions with 7 divisions and launched the 12th Battle of the Isonzo. Also called Battle of Caporetto, this was a decisive Austro-Hungarian victory. Italy suffered casualties totaling 305,000 and lost all the ground gained in the early Isonzo campaign. The Italians had also retreated 19 kilometers to the Tagliamento River. As the Italian front collapsed, Italy's allies Britain and France sent 11 divisions to reinforce the Italian front and insisted on the dismissal of Italian General Cadorna. General Cadorna is often considered one of the World War I conflict's worst generals. His incompetence caused the large number of Italian casualties, outnumbering enemy casualties, and his personal bitter and ruthless reputation. The new Italian Chief of Staff, Armando Diaz, ordered the Fourth Army to stop their retreat and defend these positions. The Austro-Hungarians, despite help from the German army's Alpenkorps and numerical superiority, failed to take the mountain summit during the First Battle of Monte Grappa. Italy in World War I suffered 2,150,000 casualties and losses, of these 651,000 dead, 953,886 wounded. Italy was effectively bankrupted, its national debt increasing from 15.7 billion lire, 1914, to 85 billion, 1919. Germany and Austria-Hungary Empire surrender and Allies won World War I when USA entered the war and they signed the Treaty of Versailles on June 28, 1919. Italy received very little promise to her in 1915. The Treaty of Saint-Germain, 1919, gave Rome the Italian-speaking regions of Tyrol, Trieste and Istria. But sovereignty over the Dalmatian coast was granted to newly formed Yugoslavia, while Germany's colonies were claimed mainly by Britain and France. Many Italians believed their country had sacrificed far too much for far too little return. One of these was the fascist demagogue Benito Mussolini, who later acquired support and rose to power on the back of these nationalist sentiments. Italy had entered into the fascist era.